Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to the Fauna YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Megan and I'm the owner of Fauna and I make and sell scrunchies, macrame, glassware, home decor, a huge bunch of goodies like that. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my top tips and tricks and hacks and bits of advice on how to elevate your market setup, and I'm going to see if I can actually get through it without rambling like there is no tomorrow. But I just want to say a little disclaimer. Obviously I'm not a professional, I don't have any qualifications in market booth setup design, I guess. But I've done plenty of events with my current small business and my old small business. I've attended a lot of events as a customer and I also run makers markets, so I roughly have a bit of an idea, and I've tried and tested a bunch of different things and some of these have worked for me, so I want to share that with you guys. So I'm just going to get straight into it. I've got my little notebook here. So the first thing, I'm going to get this over with because it's not a very nice thing to say, but it sadly is true. There is a saying, I think the saying is something like, you can't polish a turd but you can put glitter on it. But I feel so cruel saying this, but there is only so much that glitter can do. Unfortunately, if your items are not great to begin with, there is only so much elevation that your setup can do. That sounds awful, doesn't it? But just to begin with, your items need to be a good standard. That sounds awful, but the standard's already very high out there, and I get it, you've got to start somewhere, and I don't want people to be put off from starting somewhere. But if you do show up to an event and your items are unfortunately not to the best standard, they've not been finished great, there is only so much that your setup can do to improve that. So you've got to start right at the core and work hard on your items. You've got to produce items you're proud of, that you know the people are going to like and want to buy. So yeah, that is the root of some of the problems. You have to have good items to begin with, and I feel horrendous saying that, but it is true. So we're going to swiftly move past that. So before I get into the rest of the points, I just want to quickly say you do have to invest in your market setup. There's no way around it. You have to invest somehow if you want to elevate your market stall and your market setup. So it doesn't necessarily have to be financially, it could be your time and your effort. So you could make your displays yourself, you could go out and source things secondhand or even for free if people are giving stuff away, or you have to be prepared to financially invest in your setup. Doesn't have to be done in an expensive way. I am a huge advocate for finding things secondhand, making them yourself, or finding things as cheap as possible. It is more than doable. However, it's also completely unrealistic to say you don't have to put any effort in, any of your time in, or any of your money in if you want to elevate your space. So I just want to quickly say that. Not every single person's market setup consists of a table. However, most people do use a table when they go to events, so please get a tablecloth. Cover your table. There is nothing worse than a bare table. Some organisers and venues will be very kind enough to actually provide a table for you, and some of them don't look great. They've been used over the years, they've got marks on them, scuffs on them, paint on them, and it's very hard to look past that. So if I see somebody set up and they have beautiful items but it's on like an old crusty table, it's very distracting. It doesn't look professional, it doesn't look good. So I would always recommend getting a tablecloth of some sort. For every event that I've ever applied to, tablecloths have been compulsory. You have to have one. And the best thing is they're not that expensive. I literally bought two yesterday. I think I paid maybe £12, maybe £13 for a pack of two. And I've gone for the stretch ones because I think they look great. I think they look really professional. They cling to your table so they're not going to be a trip hazard, but there are loads of different ones out there. I got mine off eBay, so like I said, pack two for a really good price because mine need replacing. Keep them clean, keep them tidy. You don't have to buy them brand new. You can go for a rummage in a charity shop and probably find like a big piece of fabric or an actual tablecloth, but I would always recommend adding a tablecloth. It just elevates it, makes it look so much more professional, cleaner, and it hides all your crap. So if you are anything like me, I'm an absolute disaster. I'm a very messy person, I'm very chaotic, and no matter how much we try on market day to keep behind our table organised and clean, there's a lot of stuff that we have behind there. We've got all our food, we've got our chairs and our legs, we've got our spare stock. There's a lot of things that you keep behind there, and obviously if you don't have a table cover on, people can see straight under there and they can see everything that you've got with you that day. So it just is worth doing. So when you're looking at what tablecloth to go for, a huge thing that can elevate your market setup is your colour scheme. Keep it cohesive, keep it on brand. Don't go so chaotic and crazy that none of it makes sense. So if all of your branding is, say for example, lilac and pastel pink, don't then start adding loads of crazy random like neon colours that just don't match. So I'm going to be throwing up some examples on the screen as I go, and I will leave their information on the screen as well. Two really good examples of this, Prints by Millie and Emily Harvey Art. They're both here on YouTube. I'm sure you've all heard of them. absolutely amazing. Emily is a lilac queen. She's amazing at keeping everything on brand. So she incorporates loads of different colours still, but that lilac is like her brand and her colours, and you can see that so well when it comes to her market setup. Like, look at her table, her displays have incorporated that colour. She even wears that colour on some market days and it looks perfect, very on brand, very professional. Similar to Millie, I saw Millie's new setup the other day at an event, and she's got a new pegboard and she's painted it pink because that's her brand colours, and her setup looks really cute. Again, there's different colours in there, but it's all sort of tied in. So I will throw some more images on the screen of some different setups where the people have really used their colour scheme well. Some people use neutrals and all the same sort of woods. My brand colours are black and white with sage thrown in there, so like a sagey green. So I have that with my displays. I use like a sage green cray. My displays are painted white. They've got like a sage border just to stop it from getting overwhelming, because my setup can be very overwhelming sometimes and it's not perfect. I definitely need to work on it, I'm more than aware, but I try and keep everything on brand. So I would definitely recommend looking into your colour schemes, because sometimes, like I just said, it can be very overwhelming as a customer. If you look at someone's setup and you just think, oh my god, like, where do I look? It's not aesthetically pleasing to look at. We're quite a lazy species. We'll just be like, oh, if it requires effort, I don't want to look, so we'll just walk past. So it's always good to have a nice cohesive setup. I'm not saying don't use bright colours, because again, that can be super eye-catching. Just make sure it's all on brand and it all fits and works together. So next on my list, I've got have cohesive displays with clear labels and a clear layout. So similar to like I just mentioned about using different colours and stuff, say you wanted to incorporate wooden displays and wooden crates, trays, all different things. If you have loads of different tones of wood holding all your different items, your items can then get a little bit lost. So try and keep them cohesive. So keep them the same type of wood, the same colour of wood. Try and be consistent throughout all your displays as well. So if you are using different shapes, try and keep them the same colour, and just make sure your display is clear and it's neat and it's tidy. Mine's very chaotic, but it's also neat and tidy. Everything sort of has a place, everything's cohesive, so all the scrunchies tend to be kept together, all the macrame tends to then be kept together. So make sure everything's clearly labelled, so you either have a nice price list so people can straight away go, right, this is that much, or things are individually priced. Just makes it so much easier for the customer experience, and it also makes it quite professional. I would recommend printing these and not always using handwritten things, unless you have beautiful handwriting, unless you are constantly changing up your prices. For example, if you do food and you're constantly changing up the flavours of like your cakes or whatever, then fair enough, it's easy to just handwrite them and just rub it off for each one, because I know it can be wasteful constantly having new price tags. But to make it quite professional, I would recommend making some nice price labels. You don't have to do this externally. If you know anyone that's got a printer, if your local library has a printer, just print it off on paper, back it on a bit of card, just makes it look a little bit professional. I am a huge believer in this. Utilize your height. Each of these tips obviously depends on like what you make and sell, and you might not need to utilize your height. However, I have seen a lot of people go to events and pay quite a lot to be there, and they just lie everything flat on the table, and you cannot fit much on a table if you are just lying it flat. However, if you utilize your height and the space properly, you will be able to bring so much more of your stock, and you will be able to make it look better. If I'm going to an event, the last thing I want to do is get super close to a table and have to lean over and look down to see each individual item, because say there's loads of people at that table, anyone behind that is not going to be able to see anything that's on there. However, if you've got stuff that's up high, you're utilizing the height, people behind can see what you're selling. You might have a 6 foot space this way, but you've got all that height as well. There's these grid shelves, a lot of people use these, but you can buy and make pegboards, you can buy little shelves, you can make little shelves. There are so many things that you can use that you may be able to find on Facebook Marketplace for free, that you may be able to find at a thrift shop or a charity shop. There are so many different things that you can do if you utilize that height. So I've got a picture here from Holly Cooper, Contemporary Ceramics, and she obviously makes ceramics, and look, she's utilized that height by making this really cute little display rail, and she's hung some of her pots, so she's actually showing people what they're for, and that's just airspace. That's barely taking any of her actual table space up. An amazing idea there. I'm gonna throw up eco seed balls, because Their displays are amazing. I love these guys. They are incredible at utilising vertical space. Incredible. And it looks so professional. It looks so neat. There are plenty of ways that you can do this, and it will make your display look so much better if you have different heights. It makes it so much more interesting for customers and market goers as well to be able to look at all the different heights instead of it just being flat down on a table. So the next one is to have branding. This is so important, and this will take your small businesses from the craft fair standard to a market or event standard. So whatever your small business name is, I would always recommend having your logo somewhere, or having a banner or a sign somewhere in there so people know who you are, so people can identify you straight away. So always have clear branding. This is not expensive. I know a lot of people think it is, but it's not. You can DIY your own banner, your own sign for cheap. You can obviously have it made by a company. Again, doesn't have to be expensive. I get all of my banners made and printed on eBay. There are loads of small businesses on there that will do it for you. You can design your artwork on Canva. You can use the free version, download it, send it off to them, and you don't have to pay that much. I think the most I've ever paid for a banner is about £15. But there are so many cheap options when it comes to your branding. So similar on our pegboards, we've got Fauna Rose on there, just so again, people know who we are. They can see it. If loads of people are stood in front of my banner at the front, that's up high so they can see that it's me. So the next one, this not always suitable for each person's small business, but I've noticed that this can be quite fun, and it can bring customers in, and it does elevate it a little bit, and that would be to add some form of interactive situation to your space. So I've seen quite a lot of people do this. My friend Laura does this with her business, and people have these capsule machines. They're really fun. So you put some money in, twist it, brings out a little capsule ball, and you have something in there. I hope I don't butcher this, but Victoria Essie Studio, I believe. I'll throw some photos of her setup that I found because it's beautiful. It's very cohesive. She's got a lot of pink in there, but then she's got the nice mix of green, but it is a very beautiful setup. And she's got a capsule machine on hers that says mystery earrings, and she's painted it pink to match her display. That's a way that customers can interact with you. They can have a fun experience in that time that they're doing that. They can talk to you, you can sell yourself, sell your business a bit more. Not necessarily interactive, but kind of is. But I've noticed a huge increase in interest in my scrunchies since adding little bins for people to rummage through. All my scrunchies used to be on the pegboards, and they were also on the little stands I used, so they were vertical, so people obviously had to then try and get the scrunchies off. However, I started bringing my crates to market and just started throwing a bunch of scrunchies in them, and people would then start rummaging, having a good look around, finding the ones they wanted. It's easy and accessible for them. It created that fun shopping experience where people aren't just having to like look at the stuff, they can actually have a good rummage through. So maybe consider adding some form of interactive thing that people can do. So little grab bags, little mystery bags. I've seen some people do like little shopping carts that they can use, so when they're going around your table they can add stuff to their little shopping carts. There's loads of things that you can do. You can be creative. Have a nosy on Instagram, Pinterest. There's loads of ideas out there. So the next one, again, this depends on your business, depends on what you're selling. It's not always needed, but can sometimes help if you style it right, if you add a little demonstration on how it can be used. This can make the world of difference, and it can really elevate your market space. So for example, Itty Bitty Titty Committee, I absolutely adore Nicole. She's amazing, and she makes these really cool quirky ceramics, and she specializes in like booby mugs. So her display this weekend, she had some of her boob plant pots. The photo I could find is probably going to be a little bit blurry, but without it being too chaotic and too over the top, just to show off these little vases, she popped some dried florals in them, and they looked great. They looked really nice. It wasn't too much or distracting, but it just added a little bit of something. It styled the item, made it look even nicer than it already is. So that's a perfect example. You don't want to distract people from the item, but you also want to help style it and show it off. So I couldn't find the best photo for these guys, but I did an event recently and these guys were there, and their setup was beautiful, very professional, simple enough but stunning at the same time. And they are Moth to a Flame, and this is the best photo that I could find. It was very cohesive. It was also interactive, so they could lift up the jar, close lid things, they could smell them, smell the scents, and each little candle was on a tray, and it was displayed with all the different sort of ingredients and fragrances, and it was styled really beautifully. So it gave you a visual of what each candle scent was. So even though you could smell it, you could also sort of see what was in it. And I thought that was a beautiful way of adding a bit of decor without it being absolute chaos. And it's so professional, everything's clean cut, it's all black and white, really styled well. I loved their display, it was very, very pretty. And again, going back to Victoria Essie, obviously this display in the middle is beautiful. She's just added a bit of like greenery there, added a mirror so people can use it. Sometimes it just works, it elevates it, ties it all in together. So similar to that, moving on to my next point, listen to your audience. This obviously comes with time and you can elevate your space over time. It's always a learning curve, you can always add to it and always change it up, but listen to your audience. I say that ironically, I don't listen to my audience and I still haven't done anything about this, but every single event, without fail, someone will pick up my wristlets and say, what is this? What is it for? And Alex and I always say, we need to have some keys on one. We need to have one there laid out with keys on so people know what it's for. It's a keychain, you just put it on your keys and it goes on your wrist. So you need to consider having a display that actually shows off the purpose of the items. Like I just said, Nicole has her little booby vases and she put some little florals in there. I know a vase is quite obvious, but sometimes you need that visual. So if you're constantly hearing the same thing from your audience, you can use that to your advantage and think, right, okay, I need to display this better, I need to show this off in a different way. Or if you don't really have the space for that, again, just add a little price tag and add what it is on there if it's not super obvious. And then finally, again, this isn't always doable. So for example, mostly in the UK you get a 6-foot space, so it's kind of hard to then add this in. But I know in America and different places in the world you guys tend to have better weather and you can do more outdoor markets, so you'll have like a bigger setup and stuff. So if you can, I would recommend having a checkout situation going on at your markets, because it makes it much more professional, it makes it so much easier and a better experience for the customer as well as yourself if you have a checkout situation. So a lot of people have their card reader already on their table, so all their customer has to do is tap. Some people have an actual checkout situation, an actual part of their booth where people can walk to and check out there. So it actually feels like a full-on shopping experience when you go to a shop, for example. The last event that we did, I was on one side where most people could see us. Alex was hiding behind the pegboard and I would pass the items to Alex. Alex would wrap them, have them ready as I'm dealing with the payment, and then I can just sort of pass the items to the person. It just makes it a little bit easier and a little bit more professional. If you can have that like little bougie setup and you've got the space for it, then amazing. But that is kind of my final tip for when it comes to elevating your table space. So let's have another look at some of the photos that I have saved. These are some beautiful tables that I came across randomly. So we've got Kip Candle Co. Look at this, beautiful. It's all cohesive. You've got all the sort of similar colour schemes going on. You've got different heights. It doesn't have to be OTT, it can be nice and simple. So they've got not only their banner at the front stating who they are, they've got their website on there, I believe, maybe their Instagram bio. They've got a little holder there holding their business cards for someone to take. They also have that Kip Candle Co. logo even higher at the top so people further behind can see. They've got their card reader on the table so people can check out super easy. They've got clear pricing, perfect, love it. This business, I cannot remember what they're called. If I can find it, I will leave it on the screen. I love their table setup. It's very dark, very moody, but everything works so well. All the colour scheme's perfect. They use the sort of same stained wood, so it's all black, whites and browns. Beautiful. Another candle one as well. So this one, obviously Valley Candles. It's all neutral, everything's cohesive, very clean cut. Again, utilising heights. I'm gonna butcher this. I think it's Kiro Home. I should know this. She's lovely and her table always looks absolutely stunning. She does these really cute candles and they're beautiful. It always looks nice and clean cut. Everything's displayed beautifully. Really good example. She always has a really nice clean display. Then we've got McKenna Quick. I was having a little nosy through on Instagram at different people's displays and McKenna's came up and I thought it was great. Really good use of the different heights. The colours are beautiful. She's got greens, whites, bit of blue in there. She's got the 2 different banners, so her branding's on point. You can see her. It's neat, but it's really pretty. It just looks really cute, really professional. She's got a really good one. So next, Maz Layden, I'm gonna say. A really talented artist. A little bit hard to get photos of this because most of their setup is videos, but it looks so pretty. I like the fact that we've got some symmetry going on, a really good use of space. It looks beautiful, everything's clean, they've got the vertical heights going on. So yeah, definitely another good one to look at. So Jo from Bella and Archie Studio, her first event was one of ours and this was her first table setup and I thought it looked absolutely amazing. She did a really good job. Again, all on brand, so all the different displays, she's got all sort of similar woods, using different heights, everything sort of clean and laid out. She's got clear price tags. You can't really go wrong at all. There are so many different things that you can do. Use your imagination. Have a little browse on social media, Pinterest, YouTube. There's a lot of people doing tutorials. There's a lot of people that you can take inspiration from. There are so many different things that you can do to elevate your market space. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you took some tips away from it. If you've got any of your own tips, leave them down below. But I'm going to leave this video here, so if you could give it a massive thumbs up, leave me a comment down below and subscribe if you aren't. All the social media for Fauna Rose is linked down below, so feel free to head on over there and check it out. But apart from that, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!